This is a Lockheed Martin State Route 72, an aircraft so fast it can cross oceans before the enemy even blinks. First appearing in Top Gun, Maverick, and nicknamed the Son of the Blackbird, it's a hypersonic successor to the legendary State Route 71 Blackbird. But what makes this aircraft so terrifyingly advanced, and why are rival nations like China and Russia scrambling to catch up? The United States government doesn't like to show its technological advancements in front of the whole world until it's too late for anyone to do anything about it. So we would assume that work on the State Route 72 Darkstar began way before it appeared in the movie. To be successful, the State Route 72 Darkstar had to meet 3 specific objectives. 1. Travel at speed higher than or equal to Mach 6. 2. Travel above 80,000 feet for extended periods of time. And 3. Stay completely hidden from advanced tracking and radar systems. In order to achieve this, Lockheed Martin not only had to completely redesign the aircraft, but also build a new engine and tackle the associated challenges of traveling at speeds 6 times the speed of sound, like surface and cockpit heating. Reports indicate that Lockheed Martin had been working with Aerojet Rocketdyne since 2006 to build an engine that could propel an aircraft to Mach 6 using scramjet technology. The scramjet engine uses fast-moving air to first compress and then combust. However, scramjets only provide good performance above Mach 2.5, so the State Route 72 had to use another engine type at lower speeds. It was reported that, like the State Route 71, the State Route 72 would also be fitted with a turbine-based combined cycle engine to switch between turbine and scramjet engines as needed. This system will be fed a shared inflow of air through the nozzle but with individual airflow paths. To fully experiment with this system's feasibility with the State Route 72, NASA allowed Lockheed Martin to study existing turbine propulsion systems with a contract worth $892,000 in December 2014. At such high speeds, the material used for the body construction would also have to be superior to that of its closest match, the State Route 71. Data from State Route 71 flights indicates that the surface temperature of the aircraft reached higher than 500 degrees Celsius in flight, at speeds greater than Mach 2.5, a temperature sufficient to melt any conventional aircraft building materials. Needless to say, the State Route 72 Darkstar would have to use lightweight materials capable of tolerating extreme temperatures and the sheer stress of Mach 6. Ceramic titanium alloys and metal mixes would likely be chosen for this purpose, as they have been used in space shuttles flying above Mach 20. Another variable that comes into play is a rumor of the State Route 72 being unmanned, which was dismissed by the project leader of the State Route 72 program, Brian Habergo, in a hint he dropped when interviewed by YouTuber Sam Ekholm about the Darkstar's ability to fly unmanned, claiming it had the capability of doing both, based on mission requirements. Now, of course, speed is everything when it comes to hypersonic spycraft like the State Route 72, but it also has to have the ability to drop bombs and strike targets to fully utilize these capabilities. Any normal bomb would simply be unstable at hypersonic speeds, and Lockheed Martin announced in 2018 that the State Route 72 would be fitted with hypersonic missiles and be able to take its first flight in 2025, starting active duty as soon as 2030. But why is the State Route 72 Darkstar coming nearly 30 years later than the State Route 71 Blackbird? The prototype used in Top Gun, Maverick, was a result of a joint venture between Lockheed Martin Skunk Works division and Paramount Pictures designers, the same Skunk Works division that worked on and finalized the design of the State Route 71 Blackbird back in the 1950s. The final model of the Darkstar, designed by Daniel Simon after many iterations and displayed in the movie, was so realistic that Chinese intelligence agencies reportedly started conducting satellite surveys to further investigate the reality of the State Route 72, partly due to its similarities with a mock-up listed on Lockheed's website. Wouldn't that seem like too much attention for a science fiction film? Well, given that the State Route 71 Blackbird exists and holds the world record for the fastest manned aircraft, which still scares many foes of the United States. The concept of its next-generation successor will surely turn heads and roll eyes, serving as a reminder how close fiction is to reality in today's world. Even so, how is the State Route 72 Darkstar concept different from the State Route 71 Blackbird? Lockheed Martin designed and built the State Route 71 Blackbird in the 1960s, and since then, it has held the title of the fastest manned air-breathing aircraft in the world, reaching speeds up to Mach 3.2, high supersonic speeds that remain difficult for adversaries to match even with today's technology. While some aircraft can reach that speed, none can cruise at it for long. But why was it needed? In simple terms, the U.S. needed eyes on its enemies without them even knowing it was there. However, with advancements in radar and tracking technology, the U.S. had to go hypersonic. To understand why the State Route 72 Darkstar had to be developed, we have to understand hypersonics and their role in modern warfare. Hypersonic jets and missiles are already here, with Russia and China constantly working on them. The race for advanced arms has just begun, and understandably, the United States wouldn't want to be left behind. Usually, anything that exceeds Mach 5 is considered hypersonic, and with modern defense systems, the State Route 71 simply couldn't keep up with technological advancements, a big reason why it was retired from service in 1998. Thus, Lockheed Martin's State Route 72 Darkstar program had to surface, and we recently saw its concept publicly acknowledged. Even though it was just an idea from a movie, it was taken seriously enough by U.S. rivals worldwide to start gathering data about this new aircraft, showcasing the gravity of the U.S.'s armed capability and its global impact. What exactly does the State Route 72 have that makes it so blatantly threatening to U.S. rivals? The State Route 72 program has faced multiple development challenges, and the technology needed to propel an aircraft 6 times the speed of sound is simply too complex to implement easily. In November 2013, the U.S. Air Force Chief of Staff, General Mark Welch, stated that the service needed a hypersonic aircraft that would significantly reduce adversaries' reaction time and that the Air Force was interested in regaining hypersonic superiority. By December 2013, however, this statement changed, and the Air Force declined to fund the State Route 72 program, claiming it had never reached out to Lockheed Martin for it. Pressed by budget cuts and other factors, the U.S. military chose to develop the Northrop Grumman RQ-180 unmanned aerial vehicle for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance ISR missions, as it was much cheaper and less complex than the State Route 72 program, yet still so confidential that not a single image of the RQ-180 exists. Work on the State Route 72 was then carried out in complete secrecy until 2015, when NASA awarded a contract to study dual-mode engines capable of speeds greater than Mach 6, envisioning the State Route 72 as a perfect ISI and strike platform. By 2017, Lockheed Martin had completed RAND-D for the State Route 72 Darkstar, claiming development could begin by the early 2020s. In 2018, Lockheed Vice President Jack O'Banion further detailed the integration of modern technologies like computer modeling and 3D printing into the State Route 72 program, which could solve problems that would have made building it impossible just 5 years earlier. There was absolutely no public information about the State Route 72 program. Officially, it didn't exist until renewed public interest emerged after its appearance in Top Gun: Maverick. Complete secrecy has enabled the U.S. government to innovate and shock the world with its superiority in arms and capability. But what about the current status of the program, and what's at stake for the United States? Currently, there have been no documented flights or tests of the State Route 72, likely due to the program confidentiality. For all we know, the aircraft could already be in initial production or test flights. However, hints dropped by Lockheed Martin suggest that the U.S. has never lost its top spot in the hypersonic weapons industry, with significant improvements in the military's technological capabilities. The race to own a hypersonic aircraft capable of penetrating enemy airspace at high speeds and completing ISI and strike missions is on, and given the U.S.'s global position, rivals like Russia and China are likely scrambling to compete with their own versions. Throughout history, multiple hypersonic weapons and UAVs have emerged, but most defense systems have adapted with anti-surveillance and high-speed tracking, making them less effective. The principle that can defeat these systems is sheer speed, and the State Route 72 delivers exactly that. At Mach 6, it can travel thousands of kilometers in seconds, leaving enemies little time to react or even detect its presence. One thing is certain: The United States remains the only country capable of operating such an aircraft, thanks to its fearless and effective strategies. Whether good or bad, only time will tell. But the State Route 72 and projects like it may well be the future of hypersonic warfare, until someone figures out how to travel faster than the speed of light. Bye for now.